You're 18 years old and you just signed your own death certificate. Not metaphorically, actually. The instructor hands you a pen and you write your name on a document that says you volunteer to die for the Emperor. Your hand doesn't shake. It should, but it doesn't. You've been trained too well for that. It's 1944 and Japan is losing the war badly. American forces are closing in on the homeland, and the military is desperate. So desperate they've created the Tokubetsu Kogekitai, the special attack units. You know them by their other name, Kamikaze, Divine Wind. Poetic, really, for a program designed to turn teenage boys into guided missiles. You weren't drafted into this. Technically, you volunteered. But let's be honest about what that means. Your commanding officer stood in front of your entire unit and asked who would sacrifice themselves for the Emperor. Everyone around you raised their hands instantly. What were you going to do, be the only one who didn't? Watch your friends think you're a coward? Let your family face the shame of having a son who refused to serve? You raised your hand. Of course you did. Training starts immediately, and it's nothing like what you expected. Most of your classmates spent months, even years, learning to fly. You get 3 weeks. Why bother teaching you how to land when you're never coming back? They focus on the essentials: takeoff, basic navigation, and how to aim your aircraft at a ship. That's it. Your instructor doesn't even pretend this is normal flight school. He's preparing you for one flight, one mission, one explosion. The aircraft you'll fly is a Mitsubishi A6M0, though some pilots get stuck with even worse planes. Stripped-down trainers, obsolete bombers, anything with wings and an engine. Your Zero is fast and maneuverable, which sounds great until you realize it's also made of aluminum and has zero armor. American bullets go through it like paper. Not that it matters. You're not trying to survive combat. You're trying to become combat. They load your plane with a 250-kilogram bomb. It sits right behind your seat, close enough to touch, close enough to think about constantly. You practice dive angles, calculating the trajectory that gives you the best chance of hitting an aircraft carrier's deck. Steep dives are harder to intercept, but they're also harder to control. You need to be precise. Missing means you die for nothing, and dying for nothing is the only failure that matters now. Your squadron leader is 22 years old, which makes him ancient by Kamikaze standards. He's already survived 12 combat missions as a regular pilot before volunteering for this. You ask him why he chose this, and he looks at you like you're stupid. Japan is losing, he says. We're all going to die anyway. This way, we choose how. This way, we take enemies with us. His logic is airtight and completely insane, and you nod like it makes perfect sense. The base becomes your entire world. You eat, sleep, and train within the same few buildings. Mail from home arrives, and you're encouraged to write letters back. Your mother sends rice cakes wrapped in cloth your sister embroidered. You write back telling her you're honored to serve, that you're proud, that she shouldn't worry. You don't mention the bomb strapped behind your seat or the fact that you now measure your future in days, not years. At night, some pilots drink sake and sing songs. Others sit in silence, writing poetry or staring at photographs. One guy in your barracks talks constantly about his girlfriend back home, how they were supposed to get married next spring. He shows everyone her picture so many times you've memorized her face. Another pilot never speaks at all. He just maintains his aircraft obsessively, polishing metal that'll be vaporized soon anyway. You wonder what you're supposed to feel. Fear? Pride? Rage at the Americans? Rage at the commanders who designed this program? You feel all of it and none of it. Mostly you feel numb. It's easier that way. Easier than thinking about your kid brother who copies everything you do, or your father who taught you to fish in the river behind your house, or the girl from school who smiled at you once and made your heart stop. The propaganda is everywhere. Posters showing kamikaze pilots as heroes, ascending to Yasukuni Shrine where the spirits of fallen warriors live forever. The Emperor himself supposedly blessed this program. You're told that your death will save countless Japanese lives by destroying American ships, by making the invasion so costly they'll surrender instead. You want to believe it. Some days you do. Other days you're just a teenager who wants to live. Then the order comes. Tomorrow. You're flying tomorrow. The mission briefing is straightforward. A carrier group has been spotted heading toward Okinawa. Your squadron will launch at dawn, fly low to avoid radar, then climb for the final attack. 12 planes, 12 pilots, 12 bombs. The math is simple and horrifying. That night, you're given a ceremonial headband and a 1,000-stitch belt that 1,000 women each added 1 stitch to for good luck. You're also given a tanto, a small dagger. Nobody explains what it's for, but you understand. If your plane is too damaged to reach the target, if you're shot down over water, if capture becomes inevitable, you have an option. The Emperor's warriors don't surrender. You try to sleep but can't. Your mind won't stop running calculations. Altitude, speed, angle of attack. You picture the carrier's deck growing larger in your windscreen. You wonder if you'll feel the impact or if everything will just stop instantly. You wonder if your mother will cry when they tell her, or if she'll be proud like she's supposed to be. 3 hours before dawn, someone shakes you awake even though you weren't sleeping. Breakfast is rice and miso soup. You can barely eat. Around you, other pilots force food down with mechanical efficiency. This is fuel, nothing more. One pilot vomits in the corner. Nobody comments. The pre-flight ritual begins. You're given sake, just a small cup. You're supposed to drink it ceremoniously, but your hands are shaking now. Finally shaking, and some spills on your uniform. You're given a final meal, better than anything you've eaten in months. You can't taste it. Everything is texture and obligation. Outside, mechanics are fueling your Zero. The bomb is already loaded. You walk toward your aircraft as the sky begins to lighten, and that's when you notice something that makes your blood run cold. The mechanics have painted cherry blossoms on your aircraft's nose. Delicate pink petals falling across the metal. It's beautiful and grotesque. This is your coffin, and they've decorated it like a gift. You climb into the cockpit for the last time. Everything feels different now. The stick, the throttle, the instruments, they're not tools anymore. They're accomplices. The engine coughs to life and the vibration runs through your entire body. Around you, 11 other Zeros are starting up. The sound is deafening, but underneath it you hear something else. Silence. The silence of what comes after. Your squadron leader's voice crackles through the radio. Final checks. Everyone reports ready. Your voice sounds strange when you respond. Steady, calm, not yours at all. The tower gives clearance. One by one, the aircraft ahead of you taxi onto the runway. You watch them take off, disappearing into the gray dawn. Then it's your turn. You advance the throttle. The Zero accelerates, faster, faster, the rumble of wheels on dirt becoming a roar. You pull back on the stick. The ground falls away. You're airborne. For a moment, just a moment. It's like every other flight. The rush of wind, the engine's steady drone, the earth shrinking below. You bank to join formation, and that's when it hits you. This is the last time. The last time you'll see Japan from above. The last time you'll feel an aircraft respond to your touch. The last time you'll watch the sun rise. The formation tightens. 12 aircraft flying in perfect symmetry toward the horizon. The radio is silent now. There's nothing left to say. You fly for an hour. The ocean stretches endlessly below, dark and indifferent. You think about your navigation training, all those hours learning to read instruments and calculate headings. You got so good at it, what a waste. The American fleet appears as dots on the horizon. Your heartbeat accelerates. This is real. This is happening. The dots become shapes. Destroyers on the perimeter, cruisers in the middle, and there, the carrier. Massive, gray, bristling with anti-aircraft guns that are already tracking your formation. Someone breaks radio silence. For the Emperor. The squadron leader's voice is steady. For Japan. You're supposed to echo it. Your mouth opens, but nothing comes out. The first flak bursts appear, black clouds blooming in the air around you. The formations begin to break. Each pilot selecting their target, beginning their final approach. You push the stick forward, diving toward the carrier. The altimeter spins backward. 5,000 feet, 4,000. The anti-aircraft fire intensifies. Tracers arc past your canopy like deadly fireworks. You hear an explosion behind you. Someone's hit. You don't look back. 3,000 feet. The carrier is massive now. You can see sailors running on the deck, gun crews swinging their weapons toward you. This is the moment. This is where you're supposed to feel transcendent purpose, divine wind, the honor of sacrifice. But you don't. You feel terrified. You don't want to die. The realization hits you like physical force. You're 17 years old and you don't want to die. Your hands move on their own. You're not diving anymore. You're pulling up. Banking hard. The carrier slides out of your sights. What are you doing? The question screams through your mind. This is desertion. This is cowardice. This is treason against the Emperor. This is survival. You level out, flying parallel to the American fleet now. Behind you, explosions. Your squadron is hitting their targets, doing exactly what you couldn't. The radio erupts with American voices, coordinates, warnings. You don't understand the words, but you understand the tone. Confusion. Why is one aircraft breaking off? Tracers follow you, but half-hearted now. You're leaving the battle zone. The American gunners have bigger problems than one retreating Zero. Your fuel gauge is dropping. You knew it would. This aircraft was loaded with just enough fuel for a one-way trip. Maybe 40 minutes of flight time remaining. No Japanese airfield is close enough. The ocean waits below. Your options are simple. Ditch in the water and hope the Americans pick you up before you drown. Use the Tonto. Turn back and find another target. Or fly until the engine quits and let fate decide. You choose the ocean. It's not noble, it's not honorable. But it's a choice. and that matters. You reduce altitude, searching for calm water. The engine coughs, fuel pressure dropping. You have minutes now. The ocean rushes up to meet you. This landing will probably kill you anyway. The irony isn't lost on you. Dying while trying not to die. The wheels touch water. Everything happens too fast. The Zero flips forward, canopy smashing into the ocean. Water floods the cockpit. You're upside down, strapped in, drowning in your aircraft just like you would have if you'd been shot down. But your hands remember training. Release harness, kick free, swim. You break the surface, gasping. The Zero is already gone, sinking to depths you can't imagine. You're alone in the Pacific Ocean. No life raft. No rescue coming. The sun is higher now and the water is cold. You start to laugh. You survive the suicide mission by choosing a slower suicide. Hours pass, maybe days. You lose track. The sun burns your face. Salt water fills your mouth. Your limbs grow heavy. This is it. This is how it ends. Not in a fireball, not as a hero, just another body in the ocean. Then you hear engines. A boat, American voices, hands pulling you from the water. You're too weak to resist. They wrap you in blankets, give you water. Someone asks questions you don't understand. You don't try to answer. You failed your mission. You abandoned your squadron. You chose life over honor, and that choice has led you here. Prisoner, traitor, survivor. The Americans take you to a ship, then to a camp. You spend the rest of the war behind barbed wire. You hear about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the surrender. Japan loses, and you're still alive to see it. After the war, you return home. Your family thought you died. Your mother cries when she sees you. Your father won't look at you. Your brother, the one who copied everything you did, enlisted after your death. He actually completed his Kamikaze mission. He's the hero. You're the one who came back. You never tell anyone what really happened. You say your aircraft malfunctioned, forcing you to ditch. Let them believe what they want. You marry, have children, live a quiet life. But some nights you still see that carrier in your sights. You still feel your hands pulling away. You wonder about the pilots who didn't hesitate, who dove straight into their targets. Were they braver, more loyal, or just more afraid of the wrong things? You're 70 now. Your grandchildren ask about the war. You tell them you served. You don't tell them how. The cherry blossoms bloom every spring, and every spring you remember the ones painted on your aircraft. Beautiful and grotesque. A gift and a coffin. You survived by choosing to live. Some would call that cowardice. You call it the hardest thing you ever did. You tell yourself it was worth it. The shame, the whispers, the weight of survival when everyone else chose death. You got to see your children born. You got to teach your son to fish in the same river your father taught you. You got to grow old, but there's a scar nobody sees. It's not on your skin. It's in the space between who you were supposed to be and who you became. Every kamikaze pilot made a choice that day. Yours just looked different. They chose the empire, the glory, the instant where everything ends and nothing hurts anymore. You chose decades of hurting, decades of carrying it. That takes a different kind of courage, one nobody writes poems about. The truth is, there were no good choices that day. Just terrible ones and slightly less terrible ones. You picked the one that let you keep breathing, and you've spent 50 years wondering if that makes you weak or strong. Maybe it makes you human. Maybe that's enough.